Welcome to Financial Aid Series Part 2, Filing the FAFSA. Filing the FAFSA can be done at studentaid.gov. It's free to file. If you're filing the FAFSA for the fall 2024-2025 school year, be sure to select the correct form, the 24-25 FAFSA, not the 23-24 form. To log into the FAFSA, each contributor needs to have their own FSA ID. Their username and password needs to be used to complete and sign the FAFSA. Once logging in, a role is assigned. So if the student is completing the form first, they would log in as the student. In this scenario, we're going to start with the student. When the student logs in, they will see an onboarding process. It's a series of 4 screens that will kind of display what's going to happen throughout the FAFSA process. When the parent logs in, they will also see this onboarding. After going through that, the student will process through a few identity type questions. Some of the information will be already completed since they logged in with their FSA ID, but it should still be reviewed to make sure that it's accurate. If it's not, they can go to the account settings on studentaid.gov to fix that. And if they're not grayed out, they can fix it throughout the FAFSA. The next section would be providing consent to have federal tax information brought directly into the FAFSA from the IRS. If they're familiar with prior year FAFSAs, this was done through the IRS data retrieval process. If any of the contributors do not authorize consent, the FAFSA can still be completed, although it will be rejected in the end, and an SAI will not be determined. You can see on the top, it'll show you the tabs that you're going to go through. So the first will be a series of questions helping to determine the student's situation. So read through them carefully and provide the correct answers. So for first-year students, they would be filling in that they're a first-year student and they have not earned their bachelor's degree yet. There'll be other questions asking things to determine the dependency status of a student. A lot of times students will answer no to these questions, although there are some unique situations where a student will have experienced some of these situations. A new question this year would be if the student is only seeking unsubsidized loan. In most cases, the student wants to see if they're eligible for any type of aid, so they would answer no here, that they're not only seeking unsubsidized loan, meaning that they will provide parental information. In which case, next we'll ask about the parental marital situation. And then it will ask for information about however many parents were asked on the previous question. So the student will have to have some personal information about the parents, such as their date of birth, their social security numbers, and then the email address to which the invites will be sent for the parent or contributors to be able to access the FAFSA. It'll continue to go through different demographics about the student and the parent, so you should be reading and answering these carefully. And depending on what type of federal tax information will be brought in, there will still be a few questions for the student to answer, such as the value of their total cash savings and checking, as well as asset information. The next part will be for the student to submit which colleges should be receiving the student's FAFSA information. The student can put in up to 20 different colleges. And then finally, the student will be able to review all of the different answers that they provided, as well as the different contributors that they had said would be invited to also put information into the FAFSA. And then next, the student reviews that they are acknowledging the terms and conditions of the FAFSA, and that by agreeing and signing, they're willing to submit their portion of the FAFSA. They'll see a display page that is tracking the status of what's happened. So it'll show the contributors that the invite has been sent to, as well as the status of that invite. This part is not actually part of the FAFSA, but it is just showing what the invite would look like to those contributors. So just an email showing, where the contributor can log into the FAFSA, and just kind of a view of what that would look like. So then as a contributor, once the parent logs in, they also need to provide their FSA ID. If they haven't gone out and already received one, again, you can see here where you can click on the create an account to be able to get that, but it is a smart decision to go out and get that FSA ID early so that you're ready when it comes time to file the FAFSA. You can see here where it's going to give you the option to decline the invitation, but by declining it, then the student is not having parental information on the FAFSA, which would mean they would only be eligible for unsubsidized loan, which is not really checking to see if the student is eligible for any other type of aid. So it is best to help the student out and see if there's any other aid that they would be eligible for. So to click that Get Started button and then just progress through the FAFSA. The parent you're going to see is going to have many of the same screens as the student did. So they would start by checking through their parental identity information, which should match up what was on the FSA ID. Again, checking to see if they can add or change anything that is incorrect. The parent will also be provided with a consent form. Again, this is just consenting to have their federal tax information from the prior year brought over into the FAFSA. And by if they don't provide consent, again, the FAFSA is going to be rejected and the student will not be able to have aid eligibility completed. You can see that there's also a tab up top that's going to walk through what the parent needs to do. Again, providing some demographics about the parental situation, as well as financials about what was the tax situation that was filed in 2022. What is the parent's family size? And again, since it's taking a look at the family size from the prior year on the tax return, you do want to check to see if that's accurately reflecting what's happening right now. And it will give you the option to change that if that's not the current situation. It will still ask a few financial questions that don't come across from the tax return, such as annual child support received or parental assets, such as cash, savings, and checking, or if you have a business or investment farm, real estate, other types of investments. And new for the 24-25 year, all businesses and farms need to be reported their current net worth, even if it's a small business or a farm, that somebody lives on and works. Then it will go through and ask for, your spouse. So if a parent is married, the spouse's information as well. And then finally, it will go through the same steps that the student did, where you can read through the answers that were provided. And then it'll give you the signature page as well. So read through the consent that you agree with the information that was provided and that you are signing it so that it can be submitted. As in this scenario, the student had already provided their information. So when this one is signed and submitted, the FAFSA will be complete. The student will get an informational email sent out to them as well to let them know that it is complete. And the information will all be gathered and run through the formula, and the student will get their SAI. Thanks for joining, and take a look at our next series, which is what happens once the FAFSA is complete.